Okay.
Bueno,
Shalom.
shalom.
And okay, I guess we get to start. They started recording, so we better start the class already.
Si ya empezaron a grabar, ya empezamos con la ayuda del Eterno.
All right, with the help of Hashem. And okay, so we're going to continue about Bereshis.
Continuamos con Bereshit.
And right, so there's a lot of things to talk about in the parsha and in this parsha and
Hay mucho de qué hablar en esta parasha.
right. And somehow there was only like a few days, and then the parsha, didn't even have a full week of a preparation for this.
Y luego esta parasha solo tuvo unos cuantos días en la semana para prepararnos para ella.
Because we're ready holding, next week is already Parshas Noach.
Ya la parasha que sigue es la de Noach.
Right. Okay, but we still have time now, and God willing.
Pero aún tenemos tiempo ahora y con la ayuda del Eterno.
Okay, so we're going to do about the creation of man, and
Vamos a ver hoy sobre la creación del hombre.
so we see you have in verse 26, we talked about yesterday,
Ayer hablamos sobre el verso 26.
All right, so you have in verse 27, it says, chapter 1, 27, it says he created man, male and female he created, it says there. I'm not reading the whole verse. I'm not.
En el verso 27 dice que los hizo varón y hembra.
Right, because I don't want people to get distracted by the other parts of the verse. That's why I don't want to read the whole verse, because I want to focus
No
on one
voy a
part.
leer todo porque no quiero que se distraigan con otras partes del verso.
Right, so this is the part we're focusing on. You see, it says he made them in the initial creation. It says they were male and female.
Al inicio de la creación vimos que fueron hechos hombre y mujer.
And then he said, afterwards he said to them, be fruitful and multiply.
Y después les dijo, sean fructíferos y multiplíquense.
And rule over everything.
Gobiernen sobre todo lo que hay.
So that's it. End of story.
Así es de que así se resume, fin de la historia.
It's a beautiful story. Hashem created man and woman and everything. Everything is wonderful.
Una historia hermosa donde Hashem crea al hombre y a la mujer y todo está maravilloso.
Right. Thing is that later on in chapter 2, it seems there's a different story of
capítulo 2.
There's a different story of creation here. It seems of man.
Nos parece que es una historia diferente a la creación.
Here it says he created him from the earth.
Los creó de la tierra.
This is chapter 2, verse 7.
Es el capítulo 2, verso 7.
Created him from the earth, it says.
Los creó de la tierra.
And he gave him a soul.
Y les dio un alma.
And then you have the whole thing with the tree over there, and
Y luego tenemos todo el
he told them don't
episodio
eat from the tree there.
del árbol ahí que se les prohibió comer de él.
And then Hashem says, it's not good that a man should be alone.
Y luego dice, no es bueno que el hombre esté solo.
I'm summarizing
Hashem.
because it's all it's basically in chapter 2 of the parasha. So if you want to see it in yourself, you have to read the whole chapter 2 basically.
El Rab está haciendo un recuento de lo que menciona el capítulo 2, pero si alguien gusta conocer todos los detalles, hay que leerlo a fondo.
Okay. And so then Hashem said, at that point, he brought all the animals to Adam.
Dice que Hashem trajo a todos los animales a Adán.
To see what he would call them. I mean,
para ver cómo los iba a llamar. ¿Qué nombre les iba a poner?
Now, what does one thing have to do with the other? What does the animals have to? First, it says he saw he has no partner. Then the next thing, all of a sudden, with the animals. So, what does one thing have to do with the other? He's naming the animals. What does it have to do with the fact that he doesn't have a partner?
¿Qué relación hay entre lo primero que se cita en este capítulo de que no tenía pareja a Adán y luego que le trae los animales?
Okay, but there is a certain thing in the verse. It says after he finished naming all the animals, he saw he doesn't have any partner. There's no partner here. Can't find a partner.
Y después de que terminó de ponerle nombres a todos los animales, él no tenía compañera.
He's all alone. Everybody else, all the animals have partners. They have shidduchim. He has no shidduch.
Todos los animales tenían su pareja, pero él no.
Then Hashem put him to sleep.
Entonces Hashem lo hizo caer dormido.
And the next thing you know, he woke up that there's a woman there.
Y lo siguiente en escena es que él despierta y tiene a la mujer a un lado.
Okay, so this is the part that we're focusing on for today's shiur. So what we said so far. I mean,
la porción de la parashá en la que nos vamos a enfocar hoy, lo que acabamos de decir.
So of course everybody has the question. Well, there's two different stories here. What happened?
Y todo el mundo dice, bueno, pues aquí hay dos historias diferentes. ¿Qué pasó?
So Rashi says that in the Talmud there is a certain way of explaining, and we're going to leave that aside.
Rashi menciona que en el
Talmud... No. Let me say it again. We'll start again. Okay. In the Talmud, they have a certain way of explaining, but even Rashi doesn't follow. In the Talmud has two different ways of explaining, and so one of them we're going to leave aside. We're not going to talk about.
En el Talmud hay dos explicaciones. Una la vamos a dejar de lado, no la vamos a ver.
And so the second one, Rashi explains in a simple manner. Rashi explains the second way.
La segunda, Rashi le explica de una manera muy simple.
He says that the first story is like the heading, like the title of a chapter or the title of a book, and the second story explains it in details. That's all.
Rashi nos dice que aquello que está narrado en el primer capítulo es como el título. Y en el segundo tenemos en sí la historia.
The details.
Los detalles de la historia.
Okay. So, okay. But I'm not going to go with this way. Makes things, everything is too easy like this.
Esto es demasiado sencillo. Yo no me voy a ir por esta línea.
Right. So the other kind of commentaries explained it different than Rashi, and there are others.
El otro comentario lo explica diferente de como lo explicó Rashi.
Right. I don't know the names exactly who they were, whatever. I don't know.
No sé exactamente quiénes fueron los que lo explicaron
Right.
diferente.
However, Rabbi Soloveitchik wrote a whole book on this point, on this subject.
Pero sí sé que el Rab Soloveitchik escribió todo un libro sobre este punto.
I mean, the book is 100 pages long.
Un libro de 11 páginas de largo.
It explains it in this other way. So I'm following along with Rabbi Soloveitchik in his way.
Entonces, yo voy a explicarlo a lo largo de la explicación de Rab Soloveitchik.
Right, and whatever is the sources are over there. I mean, the name of the book that he wrote. I'm going to write the title of the book here that he wrote this whole explanation. I'm writing the title over here.
Estoy escribiendo.
If somebody can find it and read it, good.
El nombre del libro que escribió Rab Soloveitchik. A ver. The Lonely Man of Faith. El hombre
Sí.
solitario de fe.
Yeah, see. That's it. Eso.
Okay. How can you write Rab Soloveitchik's name?
His name? Okay.
It's Polish, right? Le estoy pidiendo que escriba también el nombre del autor de este Rab.
Yeah, I don't know the exact spelling of it. Something like that.
Algo así, dice el Rab. No sé cómo se escribe exactamente.
His initials are, it would be like Rabbi JB. That's his initials, JB.
JB.
His initials of his name is JB. So JB Soloveitchik. That's it. He writes in English. The book is you can find it in English.
Las iniciales del nombre es JB Soloveitchik. Es el autor del libro El hombre solitario de fe. Okay. Un libro de 11 páginas que cita fuentes y corre con esta.
Oh, here, somebody already found it. Yes. That's the book. Very good.
Isabel la tiene, o al menos lo encontró.
She found the picture of it, whatever.
Ajá.
Okay.
Okay. Gracias, Isabel.
And so I'm trying to explain the idea of what he has to say there.
Entonces estoy tratando de explicar la idea que él pone de manifiesto en este libro.
With the help of Hashem, because you have
Con la ayuda de Hashem.
Summarize something like this, and now. Means we had yesterday idea.
Ayer teníamos la idea.
And we saw from in this verse in Iyov that a man is like a wild beast.
Vimos este verso de Job en donde al hombre se le compara con una bestia salvaje.
But it's a task of a person to become a man. I mean.
Pero es la tarea del hombre convertirse en hombre.
And then we explained yesterday. We explained that in the verse, "Let us make man." That it's referring to this.
Y también explicamos que ese verso 1:26 de Bereshit, donde dice hagamos al hombre, tiene que ver con esto.
So then this is going to be the explanation of these verses now.
Esto va a ser la explicación de esos versos.
That means person is in some fundamental part of a person is also like an animal.
En una parte intrínseca de la persona hay algo de animal.
Right, and if you go all around the world, animals, do they have problems with shidduchim?
Y si estudiáramos a los animales de todo el mundo, ¿tendrían ellos problemas con shiduja? What's shiduja?
Shidduchim is, to find the right mate.
¿Tendrán los animales problema para conseguir pareja?
You ever heard of a shadchan? You know what a shadchan is? Yeah. Right. So there's no animals do the animals need a shadchan?
No hay ningún animal que necesite los servicios, que ocupe los servicios de un casamentero.
Right. How does it work? I mean, somehow they have automatically instincts built in exactly how to find mates, and in a very short time they've managed to find mates.
Los animales tienen algo ya en ellos nato, de instinto, que les ayuda a conseguir pareja.
Whatever it is that they need, the system is all it works automatically inside themselves, and they don't have the whole system manages itself, however it is.
De acuerdo a sus necesidades, hay un sistema que les permite encontrar la pareja que ayudará a satisfacer esas necesidades.
So they don't need any shadchans, they don't have to put ads in the paper or nothing.
Ellos no necesitan poner anuncios en el periódico, entrar a páginas de solteros, o contratar a un casamentero.
Right. So the idea is that if a man is on his most base level, then a man is also like an animal.
Y aquí vemos la idea de que si el hombre está a ese nivel animal o se maneja en ese instinto, está a ese nivel animal.
Then he's also, on the base level, a person is also like an animal.
En forma básica, en el nivel inferior, el hombre es como un animal.
And so therefore on that level, he also can find a mate and whatever, also in the same, he has also like instincts, and he can find a mate.
Y como animal, él también pudiera encontrar parejas para intimar.
And so that's what it says in the verse there. He made them male and female, and on that level, a man could find whatever he needs. A man and woman, everything is wonderful.
Sí, Joel, ese WhatsApp se
A esto se refiere cuando se dice que los hizo varón y hembra, o macho y hembra, perdón. A ese nivel que se consigue pareja, el hombre también puede conseguir pareja a ese nivel.
Right, and you see that the task of that pair is somehow conquer the world. Basically, that's the task.
Y la tarea de cada pareja es conquistar el mundo.
That's a task given over there in the first story of creation there.
En ese primer capítulo de la historia de la creación, eso es lo que se entiende, lo que se ve.
The task that's given in the verse.
La tarea dada, encomendada en el verso.
Okay. And right. But this is not the whole of man. In man, this is not the whole.
Pero esto no es el hombre completo, todo el hombre.
All of what the potential of what man is.
Esto no es todo el potencial que el hombre es.
Now, if people can remain on that level and just and also live out their lives and perhaps they be happy because that's how Hashem made it, that they can be okay also in this way.
At the animal level.
Yeah, people can live out their lives like that, and that's part of the plan of the world. That's a certain part of the people should be like that. That's all.
En el plan del Creador caben las personas que toda su vida se manejan a este nivel animal y son felices.
And they do help for the world. They help fulfill the function of this conquest of the world. They help fulfill. They need houses, so they build houses, and so on and so forth. So all these people help with this task.
Y estas personas felices a ese nivel colaboran con la tarea encomendada. Ellos ayudan a construir casas, ellos están cooperando.
Right. So they fulfill the task of conquer the world. That says there.
Cooperando con la tarea encomendada de conquistar al mundo.
Okay. But in the second story, there's another element.
Pero luego en el segundo capítulo de Bereshit, la segunda historia, hay otros elementos.
That a man has a soul over there. All of a sudden, there's a
Podemos
soul.
ver que el hombre posee un alma.
So then the soul has a different. It doesn't have the same aspiration as these like just people who are living just on an animalistic level.
Y quienes permiten a su alma escoger tienen una vida diferente a las personas que solo se manejan en el nivel de animal.
It's not content to live just a life of an animal.
Y una persona así no podrá ser feliz si solo vive a nivel animal.
And so this is what it means there. I'm trying to explain. I'm not that this is what it means in the verse that he brought all the animals there, and he first so he brought all the animals for him to name.
Y estoy explicando esta parte donde dice que Hashem trajo a todos los animales y se los presentó, se los puso delante a Adán.
So the animal is this thing, this kind of like animalistic level. They express this kind of animalistic level of people of life. That's what the animals represent.
En esta narrativa los animales representan a quienes se mantienen viviendo felices a nivel animal.
Right. Well, animals are actually animals, but the animals are actual animals. I mean.
Y sí, los animales mencionados
Right.
son realmente animales.
Just that, listen, animals, you see from the verses that animals have a strong, a person are meaningful to a person. We see from the verses.
Vemos del verso que la persona tiene un fuerte
Go ahead. Please, go ahead. I'm sorry.
significado
To a person.
para la persona.
Good. Because because or else, what's the point of a person him naming the animals?
¿Qué propósito tendría o qué caso tendría ponerle nombre a los animales si no tuvieran significado para él?
Right. You don't see, for example, you don't see that he asked them to name the stars.
Al hombre no se le pidió ponerle nombre a las estrellas.
Right. It actually says that Hashem gives a name, has a name for all the stars. It says we have in the verses.
En Tanaj tenemos escrito que Hashem llama a las estrellas por nombre. Él les
But
puso.
the stars are for a person, it's too abstract. He doesn't have any way of understanding what the stars are, really, a person.
Las estrellas para el hombre son muy abstractas. No tiene la manera de percibir sus cualidades.
Right, but but an animal does. Animal, yes.
Pero a un animal sí lo puede entender, sí lo puede valorar, apreciar, le
Right.
puede ver sus cualidades.
Right, and I would say that that all the qualities that you find in animals, you could find in a person.
Yo podría decir que todas las cualidades que logramos detectar en los animales también las podemos encontrar en las personas.
Right, and even it says, we have from the sages, they said, you can learn the whole Torah from the animals.
Y los sabios han dicho, puedes aprender toda la Torah de estudiar a los animales.
So obviously, their behavior pertains to human behavior, obviously.
Así es de que su conducta tiene que ver con la conducta humana.
Right. So when Hashem brought all the animals for Noah, for Adam to name,
Cuando Hashem le arrimó todos los animales a Noah, you said Noah?
No, I'm sorry, I said Adam. I said Adam. I almost said Noah,
Adam,
but then I
le
switched.
arrimó a todos los animales a Adán para que les pusieran nombre.
Right, and so what he meant is that he should tap into his soul. Adam should tap into his soul. What he meant is
la encomienda es que se le dio a Adán fue buscar en su propia alma
and perceive the animals on a deep level.
Y percibir a estos animales a un nivel muy, muy profundo.
And when he does that, then ask, is this satisfy the needs of the soul as a partner?
Y preguntarse, ¿será esto suficiente para llenar las necesidades del alma como compañero?
That means you could say maybe all the nations in the world, they say they say there's 70 beasts and the 70 nations in the world, they say.
Los sabios dicen que de las 70 naciones hay 70 bestias.
Right. So it's like basically he's supposed to see that just on the level of animal, it's not that it means that a person has a higher aspiration than just these an animal level. That's what he's supposed to perceive.
Se supone que debe de percibirse que la persona debe de tener aspiraciones más altas que las de nivel animal.
Because that didn't satisfy him as a part, what his aspirations were for a partner.
Porque a Adán no le satisfacían las aspiraciones de nivel animal.
That means, right? That means if he wanted to live like the first story of man, if he wanted to live like them, he could have lived. He had all these animals. You know, he could have lived on that level if that's what he wanted.
Si Adán hubiese querido, él hubiera podido vivir su vida como se narra en el primer capítulo, como los animales.
So then that's what it says there. There were male and female. Now it could be even that there were other females in the world that he could have had as partner. It may be.
Y es posible que haya habido otras mujeres o otras partes femeninas con quienes él se pudiera haber apareado.
We really see that later, that it is like that, because anyhow, the sages say that he separated from his wife for 130 years. He separated from his wife, but he was with he was with Lilith, it says there.
Los sabios luego nos han de explicar más adelante que fueron 130 años que Adán se separó de su esposa Java. Y durante ese tiempo, él se apareó con otras. Entre esas femeninas estaba Lit.
Whatever it is. So he could have. So he had others. There were other things around him.
Entonces vemos que había más variedad alrededor de él.
Just basically, according to what Reb Soloveitchik is saying, as a man of faith, he aspired to have like a wife of faith.
Y el Rab Soloveitchik señala aquí que Adán, siendo un hombre de fe, aspiraba a tener una compañera de fe.
But that's not so easy to find anymore.
Eso no es muy fácil de encontrar.
And in the first, so of course, so then Hashem put him to sleep, and had to make such a woman for him.
Entonces Hashem lo pone a dormir para hacer una mujer como él.
Right, and so this is all right. So now, we understand basically the second story is a different story. It's a story for a person who's aspiring to a different aspiration, a spiritual aspiration.
Entonces concluimos que el primer capítulo de Bereshit, la primera historia, es diferente de la segunda, porque en esta segunda tenemos un hombre con aspiraciones espirituales.
Right, and so to find a partner for that, that's not so easy. You can't just get anybody, and so then that's why you need the Shadchan, and the Shadchan over here was Hashem. There was nobody else to be the Shadchan. That's what it says. The sages said it. Hashem was the Shadchan.
Y conseguir una mujer espiritual no es cosa sencilla. Entonces el mismo Hashem hizo las labores de casamentero.
Right, and it says, what does Hashem do all day? It says he makes shidduchim. It says in the Talmud. It says.
Para la pregunta de ¿qué hace Hashem todo el día? El Talmud contesta, consigue parejas, hace parejas.
Right. Now I'm not. Now I want to say, Rabbi Soloveitchik also says this, that it doesn't mean. That means every person has a certain percentage of these qualities in themselves.
Rab Soloveitchik dice que toda persona tiene cierta cantidad de estas cualidades en sí mismo.
Right. So therefore you can. The question is what percentage, what number? Also, like always, like we said before, there's a box. You can make a box of 1 to 1,000. What percentage this and what percentage that? That's the question. What percentage are you? Yeah.
La cuestión importante aquí es saber qué tanto porcentaje de esas cualidades. Ya en otras
Right.
clases hemos visto eso, que
Right.
cada caja le cabe 1000. ¿Qué tanto
Right.
tiene?
If right. If you focus on just material things, so you can find already partners. Other people are also focused on those things. That's all.
Si solamente te enfocas en cosas materiales, es fácil conseguir pareja porque hay muchas personas que se enfocan solo en lo material.
Right. For faith, then it's not easy. Yeah. Then it's different story.
Pero para el asunto de la fe es otra historia.
Because to be a man of faith, that's like this lonely man of faith. You have to fight the tides of the world. And,
ser este hombre solitario de fe es como combatir contra las oleadas, las olas del mundo.
And to find the partner is to find somebody who's ready to, who's ready to go along and with such a things.
Encontrar una pareja, siendo así, es encontrar a alguien que también esté dispuesto a hacerlo.
Okay, and so this is part of the underlying thing of, let's say there's a law in the Torah, and in the Torah it says like a Jew can't marry anybody else. This is part of the underlying principle, a principle of this.
En la Torá está estipulado que un judío no se puede casar con alguien que no sea judío. Así está dicho.
Right, and so this is part of the principle that because the Jewish marriage has to be a marriage of faith, and a faith partnership, not just a regular, like a business partnership.
Porque un matrimonio entre judíos es primordialmente un convenio de fe, más que un contrato de negocios.
Okay, and I think I said over the whole thing, and I said over the main point of this whole thing, I believe.
Creo que ya mencioné los puntos más importantes de todo esto.
And you could find much more in the book, of course. I mean,
Se puede saber mucho más en este libro de Rab
right.
Salovosky.
And also, I didn't explain. I'm only like explain the verses according to how I think he intends, and because he doesn't maybe spend so much time on that part.
Y también quiero decir que yo expliqué estos versos como yo los entiendo. Él no pasa demasiado tiempo aclarando esto.
Too much, okay. So now see if the people have questions.
Ya te tú. Si hay preguntas. Ronald, Rab, Shalom. Yo leí en la Gemara que los demonios también mueren y se reproducen. ¿Podría ser que los demonios son algún tipo de animal? I read somewhere in the Gemara that demons
I understand.
also die and reproduce.
Right. They're not considered animals. They're not considered animals.
No
They have
son
different
considerados
qualities,
animales.
and they have different qualities, and
Tienen
animals don't have these qualities at all. No animals that we know of have such qualities. They can fly whatever they want, whatever, but they're not animals.
Y los animales no tienen las cualidades de los demonios. Isabel, ¿y en qué nos diferenciamos de los animales? ¿Qué particularidad especial tenemos si los animales realizan lo mismo? Isabel wants to know what's the main difference between us humans and the animals.
The sages say number one, very important thing is only human being can speak intelligently.
Los sabios resaltan el hecho de que Solo los humanos podemos hablar razonalmente.
And right, a parrot can speak, but has no idea what it's saying. And
Un perico puede hablar, pero no tiene idea de lo que dice.
but a monkeys can be taught to understand even hundreds and hundreds of words, to understand what stand
A
them
un
somehow, but they
mono,
cannot speak even one word.
se le puede entrenar a que interprete cientos de órdenes, pero él no puede hablar.
Right. And that's one. The second thing, so that's one that we could see tangibly, clearly.
El habla es una diferencia tangible entre humanos y animales.
And everybody could see it clearly. Of course, we could say in the quality of soul they're different, but that we can't see the qualities of soul. I mean,
Y en cuanto a las cualidades del alma, ahí sí no podemos nosotros ver claro.
right. And the quality of speech you could see is a very great thing, because a man will behave differently than animals in many different situations. You could see that, and that's because of this quality.
Gracias al lenguaje, al idioma, a la habilidad de hablar, el hombre se comporta de manera diferente que los animales en muchas situaciones.
Right, and man could survive and recover and deal with much more things, that animals, more difficult things than animals can deal with, because they have because of this speech.
Debido a su habilidad del habla, los humanos pueden sobrevivir, pueden torear circunstancias que los animales no podrían, pueden subsistir.
Right, they proved that, and scientifically they proved it, with those experiments that they did on dogs. They called the Pavlov's dog experiments that they did in the 50s, and they proved these things.
En los años 50 hubo unos estudios, los estudios de Pavlov hechos con perros, y esos estudios respaldaron, confirmaron estas verdades. Ok. Ronald. Rab, por eso dice el Midrash que Adán copuló con las especies cuando se encontraba solo para encontrar a su pareja espiritual. Así es, ¿verdad, Rab? Is it this why?
This I don't know, but I don't take it that it means literally. That it meant even just because it says in the Medrash doesn't mean that you have to take it literally. That it means literally. I don't want to even talk about it really so much, but I just don't say the question. Just say that I don't believe that needs to be taken literally, because or else that would be considered that he violated the Noahide laws.
Dice el Rab que aunque venga en el Midrash, no estamos obligados a entenderlo literalmente como tal, porque eso implicaría que Adán rompió una de las 7 leyes noágidas.
Right. We have to assume not that he didn't. That's not what happened. We have to assume that didn't happen.
Tenemos que asumir que no fue literal, que no sucedió tal cual, aunque diga en el Midrash.
Any more questions, or that's it? No more questions?
Yo tengo una observación.
Okay. Go ahead.
If Hashem took a bone from Adam, would it be said that faith is in the bones because she became a woman of faith for him? Si se tomó un hueso de Adán para hacerle una mujer de fe, ¿será que la fe está en los huesos?
I don't know. Maybe why do you say the bone? Maybe it's in the hair. I mean, because he took the bone. Maybe it's in the soul. I mean, he must have given her a soul. He must have given the woman a soul. So maybe it's in that part.
Dice, pues si le dio alma a la mujer, a lo mejor está en esa parte la fe.
Right, and by the way, the word "sela" doesn't mean bone; it means side. So it's a mix-up from the Christian. The Christians maybe interpret it as bone, but I believe, but it means side.
En hebreo no dice que tomó un hueso, dice que tomó algo del costado, del lado. Es la interpretación cristiana de ese versículo lo que ha conferido por la perpetuidad que fue un hueso, pero no necesariamente fue un hueso.
Right. You could use the word, like if you go into the butcher shop, they say "tzalois" means ribs. So it could refer to that, but it could also refer to side.
Dice que si uno va a una carnicería donde hablan hebreo y pide sala. What's the difference between the word that's praise in Tehillim and in Amidah, sela, and ribs?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's
bueno,
stick
es
to
la
the
palabra
subject.
esta sela, si uno
It's
va
spelled
a la
differently anyhow. It's a different word.
Es una palabra que en hebreo, si uno llega a la carnicería y pide sela, le dan costillas. Pero luego le pregunté que si es parecida, es la misma palabra o cuál es la diferencia con esa expresión sela que tenemos en algunos tejilim y en los rezos en la Amidá. Y dice que se escribe diferente. Ok, John.
It's spelled differently.
Una vez conocí un señor judío que dijo haberse casado 7 veces. Espiritualmente hablando, ¿eso tiene algún tipo de consecuencia en su alma? Johnny says that he met a Jewish man that said that he had married 7 times.
Yeah.
Does that have any implications to his soul?
I don't know. I have a friend here who marries 14 times. But
dice el Rab que él tiene un amigo que se ha casado 14 veces.
Or maybe even more. And,
o a lo mejor más.
I don't know. Listen, maybe that's what he needed. I don't know. I'm not gonna make judgments about people. Maybe that's what he needed. I don't know. I don't make judgments about my friend. I don't make judgments of him. I mean, maybe that's what he needs. I don't know. What do I make? I'm not gonna make
yo
judgments.
no juzgo a mi amigo. A lo mejor eso es lo que él necesitaba.
I don't know.
Yo no sé.
You know, I also had an ethic of being married once and never again. That I was taught by my teachers, and I had such ethic before. You know, that was before I got married, and then I couldn't. In the end, we couldn't survive.
Dice, yo tenía formada en mí, por mis maestros, la ética de un solo matrimonio de por vida. Y no lo sobreviví.
We didn't survive. Now I'm the lonely man of faith.
Y ahora yo soy el hombre solitario de fe, como el título del libro.
Yeah.
Well, this is your parasha. Entonces, este es su parasha.
Yeah.
Bueno.
Well, I don't know. Hashem has to create. Would I be willing to take one of my ribs or whatever? Yeah, sure.
Dice el Rab, ¿estaría yo dispuesto a tomar una de mis costillas? Sí, claro.
Okay, Hashem has to make something for me. I'm sleeping. I'm already asleep. So you have to has to bring something, make something for me.
Ahora le toca a Hashem hacer algo porque dormir ya estoy dormido. I had so many questions when I did the homework reading the parasha and I forgot them all. Yo tenía tantas preguntas cuando hice mi tarea de leer estos 5 capítulos o 6.
Yeah.
que sí, no traje el
Okay.
cuaderno aquí.
I think there may be one or two more questions there. There's one or two that you didn't get to. Possibly. I'm
A
not
ver,
sure.
si hay más preguntas que yo no he leído.
Oh, I guess maybe you read all of them. Okay.
Yes,
What
I
is
read them.
Isabel? What did she say? You read that one? In kinos
Yes. What's the
differentiam. Oh,
difference?
what are we different than
The
animals? Okay,
language.
good. I understand. Very good. Okay, very good. Okay, so we did get to all the questions. Okay, if so, then I think we
Well,
could stop here if there's no
hay
more
un
questions.
detalle que me gustaría mencionar como mamá de hijo autista. There's something I want to point out as mom of an autistic kid. Well, now you're a young man. El lenguaje no solo nos ayuda a comunicarnos con los demás, sino que nos ayuda a fijar entendimiento, conocimiento en nuestro ser. Language not only helps us communicate with others, but it also, if you don't have language, you cannot store knowledge. My son was like a blank page every day until he spoke. Mi hijo era como una página en blanco todos los días.
Yeah.
Lo que aprendía no se le quedaba hasta que desarrolló.
Did he speaks facilitated speech with like typing, or he actually transformed himself and learned how to speak?
Hashem did a miracle. He
you
taught
speak in
me.
Spanish. Speak in Spanish. If you want, you could ask
el Rab me pregunta que si mi hijo autista habla con la ayuda de alguna computadora o algo, y le digo que no, que Hashem hizo el milagro. For 2 years, we ate only.
Say it in Spanish. Say it in
Por
Spanish.
2 años, toda la familia comió solo las cosas como Dios las hizo. Nada empaquetado, nada en bolsa. Por 2 años, solo sal de mar, solo miel de abeja, nada de leche, porque la leche ya no la recibimos como sale directamente de una cabra, que sería la mejor leche. So we renewed his intestines.
And after that, he started speaking? After you did that, he started speaking?
Renovamos el intestino y se renovó el cerebro. And había un examen, un encefalograma. El área del lenguaje estaba muerta, pero con este tipo de alimentación, las dendritas, que son como los brazos o las ramas de las neuronas, crecieron y se conectaron. Entonces, aunque no había las neuronas originales del lenguaje, se conectaron. After these 2 years, those neurons that were dead, the language neurons, the cells in the brain that allows the person to speak, they were dead.
Yeah.
And
so he didn't speak one word until after this time.
Pardon?
He didn't speak, and now he's a normal kid. Now he's everything's normal.
Yes,
before that, he didn't speak one word.
Ahora
he talks too much. So you have to go on a different diet to make him. You have to eat more packaged stuff so you can not talk so much.
Yeah, you have to renew the intestines, because the things that the brain uses to function are made in the intestines. Tiene uno que renovar el intestino de las criaturas para que el cerebro sea renovado. But also, antes de que hablen los niños, como la mayoría habla para los 2 años, las niñas hablan antes, el niño que no habla es más sensible a cosas espirituales buenas y malas. The child that doesn't speak.
I understand. You don't have to repeat. I understand.
Okay. So language is also a protection for the being of the kid. Entonces el lenguaje también protege al niño. Y qué más maravilloso que cuando empiecen a hablar les podamos enseñar a memorizar Tehilim o cosas así.
Okay.
All right. Bueno, Rab, la separación es una mitzvah cuando es necesaria en caso que la mujer no sea. Oh, se me hace que me faltan, a ver. Si un rabino recomienda tener una sola esposa para toda la vida, debe haber una razón. If a rabbi suggests that one should have only one wife for life, must there be a reason for that recommendation?
No. Ethically, you have to say like that because look what's going on, like in all South America or Latin America. I mean, the husband, they have 1 or 2 kids, then they put their eye on a different woman, they run off with somebody else and leave the responsibilities there and run off somewhere else. It goes on like that.
Johnny dice que así se debe de enseñar porque lo contrario es lo que está sucediendo en Latinoamérica. Los varones tienen 1 o 2 hijos con una mujer, luego se fijan en otra y le dejan otro crío. Y así toda su vida fértil. Ronald, la
Right, but
separación.
wait, let me finish. I want to
Okay,
finish.
algo más, John.
Right, but I mean, so I mean, we as people of basically faith, basically you want a marriage that is a faith-based marriage, people of faith, a faith marriage.
Ahora, hablando de un matrimonio de fe.
So then, if your partner is a good partner for you in this, and you're a good spiritual partner, then you should stay with her. I mean,
Si tu compañera de fe es una buena compañera de fe, permaneces con ella.
but if you're not succeeding, you're not succeeding in that, and spiritually you're not succeeding, so then there's a reason to separate. I mean,
pero si espiritualmente no estás avanzando, hay una razón válida para la separación.
I'm saying not just there's that, not just not a demand, but you're basically the situation deteriorates and you're hurting each other and so on and so forth.
En una situación así se está deteriorando y se están lastimando el uno al otro.
So then you separate.
Y entonces se separan mejor. Ronald, la separación es una mitzvah cuando es necesaria en caso de que la mujer no sea tu alma gemela, ¿verdad? Well, you answered Ronald's question before he asked it.
Okay.
Ya contestó tu pregunta, Ronald, antes de que yo leyera la pregunta.
I don't know about Gemel Vadad. That means like soulmate. But then I don't know if you're ever able to know exactly. I don't know if you're ever able to know exactly if it is or isn't, whatever. I don't know if you're able to know that. Just that if you're hurting each other, then you gotta, at some point you gotta separate. Enough is enough. That's all.
Ese término de alma gemela, no sé si lleguemos a realmente saber a ciencia cierta si nos casamos con nuestra alma gemela. Lo que sí es un hecho es que si se están lastimando el uno al otro, es mejor separarse. Eliseo.
At some point, I'm not saying one time they hurt each other. I'm saying at some point when they had enough, then they separate. That's all.
Y Ronald, no a la primera que se lastimen. En algún momento, cuando se ve que ya se fijó ese patrón de estarse lastimando, es cuando se considere la separación. Yo solo quiero una esposa por la vida toda. Que Hashem agregue una buena mujer. Eliseo wants to be married with one woman for all his life. So he says, really? He asks Hashem for a good woman.
How old is he? Eliseo?
Eliseo, ¿qué edad tienes? Pregunta el Rab. Y todos esperando a que Eliseo escriba.
I don't know, he's probably in his 40s.
Dice, no tienes edad, Eliseo?
He doesn't have it could be he doesn't know his age. Nobody ever told him how old he is, that's all. Nobody ever told him how. I know he's soltero, but just
Dice el Rab, yo sé que eres soltero, pero dice el Rab, calcula que andas en tus 40s.
He's
Sí.
in his 40s. Okay.
Ajá.
Maybe. Oh, you're pretty young. He's pretty young. 43.
Estás muy
All
joven.
right. I don't know. Maybe somebody here wants to marry him. I don't know. Maybe
¿Alguien
we have
aquí
somebody here. I don't know.
querrá casarse con él? Yo pienso que es mejor una buena separación que una mala relación. Rodolfo says, I think it's better a good separation than a bad relationship.
Okay. The older person knows from experience already.
Baruch Hashem. Rab.
All right.
Well, do you think Noah didn't marry for 500 years or just didn't have kids? ¿Usted cree que Noah no se casó hasta los 500 o simplemente no tenía hijos?
No, our sources say he didn't have children. That's what it says.
Oh. Se dice que él no tenía hijos, pero no dice que no estaba casado. Noah.
Right. Okay, we're going to stop here. Be well, and tomorrow we're going to do, God willing, we'll do about the sin, with the snake and all that. God willing.
Mañana, con la ayuda del Eterno, veremos lo del pecado y la serpiente y todo eso.
Okay. Be well, everybody, and thank you for the translation. Gracias por
Thank you, Rab.
Okay.